is obvious that the government of India made a fundamental error in thinking that they could engage in supporting criminal activity against Canadians here on Canadian soil, whether it be murders or extortion or other violent acts.
In politics and geopolitics, timing is everything. In the words of the current Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's father, Pierre Trudeau, quote, "The essential ingredient of politics is timing," unquote. In this video, that's what we are focusing on, the timing. Timing of the India-Canada row, just ahead of the Brics summit, during which initiatives which could encourage de-dollarization and bypassing the SWIFT payment system could be discussed. In this video, we will focus on the possible connection between these two. I'm Abhishek Singh and you're watching the Hindustan Times. This theory has been floated by some Chinese experts, so it is worth examining. Also, in the video, we will find out what Indian experts think about this connection. First, let's focus on what the Chinese are saying and why. And to be able to understand that, you need to understand that the West sees Brics as a problem, if not an outright threat.
Losing a war, if we lost the dollar as the world currency, I think that would be the equivalent of losing a war. That would make us a third world country, and we can't let it happen. So you're losing Iran, you're losing Russia. China is out there trying to get their currency to be the dominant currency, as you know better than anybody. All of these things are happening. You're losing so many countries.
Brics, as you know, is a grouping of non-Western nations with some of the biggest countries, including India, China, Russia, and Brazil as its members. Some countries which feel alienated by the West, along with many others, including NATO allies, are waiting to join this group. So what the US and Europe see as a problem is only expanding in size. But is it? Is Brics a threat to the West? Well, to allay West concerns at least, Brics nation leaders, including Putin, against whom the collective West is fighting indirectly in Ukraine, have said this again and again, that Brics is not an anti-West platform. It's just non-Western in composition.
If you look at 1992 and 2023, the combined growth in global GDP of the Brics countries has doubled while the growth of the G7 countries has declined. And the Brics countries are already outpacing the G7 countries on this figure. And it is quite obvious that by 2028, the gap in favor of the Brics countries will increase. This is already an obvious thing. In some areas, humanity cannot exist without the Brics countries. I am referring to food markets. Brics was never built against anyone. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said a very good phrase. He said recently that Brics is not anti-Western, it's just non-Western. This is very important.
But the increasing heft of the Brics nation and the increased collaboration among member nations, including on trade in local currencies, has a direct bearing on how the West is reacting. So the Chinese claim does seem to have some merit, that the US and Europe are trying to slow down the progress made at Brics. And to that end, the Chinese argue the Canada-India row was created to put pressure on India. As both India and Canada expelled each other's diplomats, Chinese experts who are used to looking at the US as an adversary in some sense claim to have seen through the geopolitical game. Canada targeting New Delhi at the behest of a third country, the US. Now, if you're looking for hard evidence to support that theory, you'd be disappointed. But as they say in diplomacy, what helps you see through the words are actions and the timing of those actions. And some of that evidence can be gleaned from the immediate and vocal support of the Five Eyes, followed by the United States Department of Justice formally naming and charging a former RAW official in the Guru Patwant Singh Pannu case, further complicating the matter. Since US and Europe have already successfully built some pressure on China and Russia, India was the only large country remaining. This after US is directly putting pressure on Russia through the Ukraine war and sanctions and building a stronger resistance against China. The heated exchange between India and Canada has been watched closely by Beijing. And this is being seen by some Chinese experts from the prism of the ongoing Brics summit in Kazan, Russia. Now, there is some merit in the rationale behind that theory, as the grouping's popularity has been on the rise, with more than 30 countries, including NATO member Turkey, expressing interest in joining the bloc. The summit could be a game changer, as far as the global world order is concerned, as the summit will lay the ground for an expansion and take important decisions on a new trade settlement system bypassing SWIFT. Both these developments, if they materialize, can land a serious blow to the America-led Western bloc's hegemony. This has the US worried. As per various estimates, the combined economic strength of the BRICS has already surpassed that of G7 in terms of purchasing power parity. So if BRICS were to expand further, West will be under increased pressure. And while we are discussing expansion, consider this. Turkey, which is a member of the NATO, has also expressed interest in joining the grouping. And if what Chinese observers have said turns out to be true, and Turkey manages to join, more NATO and EU member states might start jumping the ship, joining BRICS. This will become a much bigger problem for the West in that case. Now, some will disagree with the Chinese experts and say that's a very long shot. We think so too. In fact, some Indian experts have rejected the Chinese theory of a connection between India, Canada, ROW, BRICS and de-dollarization outright.
I don't think that the action by Justin Trudeau first in getting up in the Canadian Parliament on the 18th of September last year, and then again holding a press conference this time, and alleging that India is involved in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, and also that Indian diplomats are involved in tracking and colluding with terrorist elements and extremist elements to take action against these Sikh people of Indian origin who are residing in Canada. I don't think that is motivated by putting a brake on India's participation or India's enthusiasm as far as creating BRICS currency is concerned, or another payment system that could bypass the SWIFT. I think Justin Trudeau and the world in general should recognize that India's leadership is strong, powerful, determined, and actions of this nature are not going to deter it.
But as per Chinese reports, the US has been trying by all means, overt and covert, to sabotage the Kazan Forum. This after Russia invited 38 countries to attend the BRICS 2024 summit. However, the invited nations faced increased pressure from the West as per various reports. As a result, some of these nations who had publicly shown interest in joining BRICS and clearly expressed their desire to participate in the summit as early as 6 months ago decided not to show up. Case in point, Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. He was expected to attend the summit, but now he will be skipping it. Now, let's briefly discuss the other aspect of this theory, de-dollarization and its connection with the India-Canada row. India, unlike Russia and China, is not aiming for it. All India wants is the ability to trade in its own currency with some countries, including Russia. But since China wants a footprint of its currency to expand, we're not surprised. China wants to push the de-dollarization agenda through BRICS.
In any case, India is not a country that stands for de-dollarization. We do not have a problem with the dollar, and we are happy to conduct trade in dollar terms. But of course, we have been promoting trade in local currencies, in national currencies, because that is much quicker and that is much more efficient. Also, that is much more competitive because we don't have to go through the dollar and pay the exchange rates both ways. So we have been trying to expand trade in local currencies as we are trading with other countries. But we have not been a party to de-dollarization, and in any case, I feel that it is too premature to get a currency, a BRICS currency, which could replace the dollar. The dollar is still very powerful, very dominating as far as global economy is concerned. And I don't think that all the discussions in the BRICS are going to yield any other currency that could replace the dollar. So dollar is here to stay for a long time, but of course the weaponization of the dollar that the United States and some of the Western countries have sought to do, that would be really shooting itself in the foot, and that going forward could create opposition to the dollar amongst a number of countries.
Now, even though India and China have agreed upon disengagement just ahead of the summit, we know China can't be trusted, especially since China also has a Trudeau connection. In other words, what I'm trying to underscore is that the Chinese reports, which came immediately after the India-Canada row, could have been instigated by China for all we know. Considering the intimate connections between Trudeau and the CCP to pull India away from the West and support its efforts at Brics. And since India had tied the possibility of any talks with China with disengagement or de-escalation at the border, China definitely did just that, disengaged. Just so, and under pressure, neutral India is pushed to take another step towards the Brics camp and support China's agenda at Brics. In other words, both US and the West, along with the China, are trying to put pressure on India to side more with one side versus the other. So the question that India needs to find the answer to is whether its non-aligned or neutral position is slowly becoming more and more difficult to maintain, or that it still remains the way forward. In all likelihood, India will continue to walk its own path, navigating the conflicts, both of the military or the diplomatic kinds, on its own terms and after taking its own national interest into consideration first.